Hey everybody, Wilfie here, just checking in this lovely Friday afternoon. Just got off of work and I'm heading towards downtown Orlando to meet up with my lovely girlfriend. We're trying to coordinate a UPS pickup. That's always entertaining, but anyway, that's not what I'm here to blather about. I just figured I have about, probably with traffic, 20 minutes. I can babble at my phone on this topic. If people want to stay tuned for 10 minutes, I'll try to keep it short. I'm sure by now, just about everybody who cares has seen former Texas Governor Rick Perry's really infuriating and kind of baiting political ad called Strong. And, of course, it's generated lots of criticism, lots of parody responses, and I do believe a lot of that is richly deserved. And, of course, it's generated plenty of controversy. There's always people ready to purr and argue.
Accident reported ahead.
Hello, my phone's talking, yay! Right, anyway, there's always controversy when a fundamentalist or a dominionist starts babbling and actually looks like they have a budget and makes a run for some public office. Now, the good news, at least to sane people, and I'm including most Christians in that, and how rare is that one, guys? The good news for the sane people among us, like the atheists, the moderate Christians, I only practice Christianity because my family does, Christians, and everyone else with a brain, Rick Perry doesn't have a very good chance at all of even making it, I think, even to the primaries, much less make it through them. I think somebody quipped that God may believe, or sorry, excuse me, of course I fucked that up. Of course, Rick Perry may believe in God, but I've seen his poll numbers, and God doesn't appear to believe in Rick Perry. I kind of thought that was very funny, very observant. Of course, this is the Texas governor who is infamous for actually praying for rain during a drought. I don't mean encouraging people to pray. I mean he actually prayed as a state official and did this in an official capacity. This, of course, is the kind of person who just blatantly disregards the First Amendment as far as separation of church and state is concerned. He's one of those, the fun type that we constantly spend too much time trying to educate. And, of course, he's also led a prayer event, also as the state governor. I think he was forced to back down a little bit. Like he realized he couldn't actually sanction it as the state's governor, so of course, he still turned up and went through all the motions. So the message is clear, but I think they at least managed to discourage him from pissing away too much of taxpayers' money on a specific denomination's religious nonsense. So, I mean, this guy's done tons of very silly things in the name of his imaginary friend, and the controversy surrounding him is largely deserved. Just because the man's gotten a lot of attention and a lot of limelight. Now, there's a few things about the controversy that bother me a little bit, and one of those is how people are reacting on YouTube. Of course, now I'm making references to social networking, so I've automatically just dropped it down a notch as far as credibility, but whatever. It's still important to say, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions. It's one thing to go onto YouTube and dislike the guy's video, or the actual ad itself. I completely agree with that. It's a shitty ad. The content doesn't matter. It's people have already made fun of him for the idiotic things he said. And my favorite, of course, is he's strong enough to admit that he's a Christian. And, good for you. And in a nation where 76% of people identify as Christian, it takes a tough man to grow the balls to stand up and proudly shout, "I'm a Christian too! Just like most of the rest of you." And this is really nothing special. Yeah, he's playing the Bible Belt crowd, and I'm sure we'll be running that nationwide. Maybe he's stupid enough to do something like that and piss off just about everybody who doesn't actively masturbate to the Bible every day. But, I don't know. I don't credit him for being an idiot. I just think he's, nothing else, he's clever. But anyway, the content of the video isn't really what matters, because it's just the same bullshit. They want to just shove Christianity down the throats of everyone, young and old, and have dominion over the rest of us. That's what dominionists do. Disliking the video is fine. That's actually pretty funny. It's probably got hundreds of thousands of dislikes by now, and maybe 30 likes, which is kind of giggle-worthy. What's amusing to me is the guy, very classy, has turned off comments on the video, which means he quite clearly does not want to hear any feedback from anybody. He, like most religious fundamentalists and dominionists, wants to spew bile, but not actually listen to anybody. He's right, everyone else is wrong. And the good news, I think, is that most people recognize that, and even if you agree with some of the things, or even all of the things he says, it's very likely that you recognize the danger in letting somebody with those beliefs get a position of power where he can start actively subverting the protections that our Constitution and amendments provide to prevent those kind of policies from ever taking flight in the U.S. But what gets me about the controversy is how people are starting to recommend reporting the video to YouTube as if it contained hate speech, and trying to convince YouTube to take the video down. I think first it's wrong to do this, and there's two reasons I think. And the first, here's the boring part. I'll get to the good reason in a minute. The sad piss on the parade reason is that really is a tantamount to censorship. And as much as we hate hearing what this moron has to say, I just said he wasn't an idiot a minute ago, now I'm calling him a moron. Fuck it, he's an idiot. We don't like what he says, but he's got the right to say it, and I get the feeling he spent a good chunk of money to produce the ad and get it distributed and broadcast, so, let him piss away his cash. But reporting it as hate speech, I think, goes way too far, and reporting it as inappropriate also goes too far. It's up to YouTube, of course, to decide whether or not the video violates their terms of service. The First Amendment, as far as censorship is concerned, only applies to government action. You can't make a law saying you're not allowed to say anything on Saturdays. Things like that. But a private company, which owns its equipment and its services and makes that available for free or even for a fee, they're completely legally entitled to decide, really arbitrarily, whether to keep something online or not. Take it down, leave it up, whichever. It doesn't actually count as censorship because the government's not doing it. Now, when I imagine all these people reporting it kind of en masse, trying to get it censored or removed, I do consider that to be kind of a crowdsourced type of censorship. It's an entire group of people trying to shout it down and get it removed. And I think that is wrong. And the reason for that's my second reason why I think trying to yank the video here, get to the good stuff. I think it's really important to let the loudest and craziest of really anybody with any position, not just a fundamentalist like Perry. It's absolutely vital to let these insanely crazy people talk as loudly as they can and be heard by as large an audience as possible. That is, if you're disturbed by the video and its contents, you shouldn't be trying to get it taken down. You should be sharing it with everyone you know and explaining to them exactly what you think is wrong with it. People need to understand that people this crazy actually are trying to run for president, and they're getting traction. Now, Perry, of course, the only real support he has are the wingnuts in probably the extremists of the Tea Party. I don't even think the co-opted Republican brand Tea Party really supports Perry all that much. You got fundamental Christians and Dominionists that both probably back him rather firmly. And, of course, Fox News loves it because it's controversy, and they don't have to work as hard when they can quote someone else's crazy instead of just making up their own bullshit. Laziness always wins anyway. I don't think beyond those circles, though, he's got a lot of support. I imagine even I would hazard a guess that most people that watch Fox News are even starting to look at this guy and think, okay, maybe we need to step back and distance ourselves from this guy just a little. And I agree with that sentiment wholeheartedly. I do think that he will not succeed in even his primary bid, and he's going to probably crash and burn about as brightly as Michelle Bachmann will. She's another brand of insane fundamentalist herself. But it's still important for people to realize that even though they don't have huge groundswells of support, they're getting some traction. You may joke about Ross Perot and his independent bid to run for president back in the 90s. I'm pretty sure that was the 90s. And people jokingly, or not so jokingly, always call out Ron Paul when you talk about a third person challenge to the two-party system. And, of course, Ron Paul's got his own problems. He's about as anti-constitution as the rest of them. He just has a very strange way of showing it. But that's another rant, I suppose. You really do need to be able to show people around the country, even the ones that don't really act interested in politics, videos like Rick Perry's Strong ad. It's important for the entire nation to realize how silly some of this is getting. And sometimes people try to ignore it, they try to just pretend it's not happening, or they figure, well, the guy won't get elected, so it doesn't do much good to try to ridicule him or stop him. We don't have to stop him. We don't have to ridicule or try to tear him down a peg or two. The campaign system and the election system will do that for us here in a bit. What is important is communicating with the rest of us. The society at large needs to start understanding just how nuts some of these politicians are. And more, the population at large needs to see that there are actually sizable pockets of people who agree with the crazy politicians. That's the dangerous part. Rick Perry won't win. He won't even make it probably deep into the primary elections, much less the general election. But what will happen instead is, as long as he gains traction and makes it, manages to get through just a little bit, gets 5-6% of some straw poll or something like that, he'll give encouragement to the next wingnut that wants to, try his crazy ideas on the American public. We have to try to encourage people and even drag people, kicking and screaming, if necessary, into the political debate and the political conversation. I don't think America is really as filled with extremist idiots as the noisy ones make it seem. I think a lot of Christians, a lot of supposedly religious people, really only go through the motions because it's what they were used to when they grew up, it's what their family does, it's what their spouses do, it's just a social thing more than any kind of actual faith at this point. Ooh, right, son. Sorry about that. But it's time for the kind of silent majority to not be so silent. We need more moderates. We need more people in the middle standing up and saying, enough is enough, guys. This is getting really stupid. George Carlin himself pointed out that we do tend to kind of elect the supposed cream of the crop into positions of authority like president and into the Senate and Congress. But I kind of get the feeling if we had more moderates trying to jump into the pool for a swim and actually have a run at the presidency or other high office, things might actually clean up a little bit. But just drumming up controversy because of extremists and the nonsense they say, it really does no good to anybody but the people who enjoy the drama, and that would be people like Fox News, the Republican Party, although the Democratic Party does the same thing when you really get down to it. So anyway, wow, I'm at 15 minutes here. Sorry, guys. I guess the sum up here is, don't try to get the video taken down, and anytime you see a stupid ad from a politician, don't try to censor the politician. If you want to give feedback, of course, say your piece, send emails, make phone calls, write letters, do whatever you think you need to do to tell that politician directly, hey, I disagree with you and I think what you're doing is disgusting. But don't censor it. Don't censor the message. Do your best to spread it and explain to people who see it just what's wrong with it. That's the most effective way that we can really stop this kind of nonsense in its tracks and try to actually get back in the game of solving problems, fixing stuff, and not being complete dicks to each other on a daily basis. And once we start focusing on that more than getting our team to another victory, we're going to find ourselves in, I think, much more comfortable surroundings, and I think we'll grow as a nation and become healthier for it. Right, so anyway, that's enough. I guess I'll sign off for now. I'm almost to my destination anyway, so thanks for watching, folks, and I'll try to post another one of these here in a few days. I'll pick a topic other than politics. I may bag on religion some more, though. See you later, folks.